Hello and welcome to the first official game show episode of Total Drama Multiverse, aka episode 2. Um, there's not much intro. Let's just get into it. Oh, one thing, do comment below. Actually, two things. We'll say these two things. Do comment below one boy and one girl you're going for, or one Tristan. And the other thing, go ahead and comment down below if you have any challenge ideas, because after this challenge, I will be accepting challenge ideas again for quite a bit, at least most of the time. But yeah, let's get into this. So we have our pre-challenge section. It's nice to actually have a pre-challenge section that's more than 30 seconds long now, because we've had like 2 or 3 people in for these past few weeks. So, yeah. When Chris made the teams, Chris only went like based off of personality and stuff, and he just went with what he thinks feels right. The only conscious decision he made was putting Lauren, Della, Tristan, Ezekiel, and Patrice all on the same team, which yes, kind of fucks Samus and Steve, but Chris really wants Ezekiel and Lauren to get on the same team, or to get on the same side, because they've both been kind of enemies recently. And Della and Tristan are obviously Lauren's friends, while Patrice is Ezekiel's friend. So they've had, obviously he wants his children to be with their friends. So yes, it's an unfair advantage against like Samus or Steve, but we'll get into that. Speaking of I cannot talk. Speaking of Samus and Steve, they're both just kind of here right now. Steve's goal is to impress his team with how absurdly good he is at challenges, while Samus, his goal is to just lay low and try to have the drama between this side and this side, which is very clearly a rift right here, especially between these two. Try to let that just keep Samus in the game a little longer. As for the Misfit Monkeys, there's not too much going on in this pre-challenge section, except that this team is very dysfunctional. I think the only two that really get along immediately are I almost said Bendy. Wow, Alice and Mel, because they both. What I think happens is Mel sees Alice and she's like, "Oh my gosh, it's another Black Blood." Because they humans in the Gaslight District, they bleed black blood, which is like, if you see the black blood, I cannot talk. If you see the black blood, then you're like, oh my gosh, there's a human, you gotta kill it. So she's found someone what she thinks at least is like her. So they became pretty good friends. Outside of that, Jack is jealous of 2D, because 2D is part of Gorillaz, which in the Gorillaz universe is the biggest band ever. Like, they're the most popular band. So yeah, he's kind of jealous of Gorillaz because Jack is part of one of the most overhated bands of all time. And as for Six is just kind of quiet and no one's really noticing her because she's like 6 inches tall. And then Captain Underpants and Goofy have just kind of alienated themselves from the team, but for being complete weirdos. Then on the Wild Wasps, I think Daisy would try to bond with some of the characters, like maybe Ash or Sky, but I think Guinevere gets in the way of that, and they end up liking Guinevere more, and that pisses Daisy off. So yeah, outside of that, Puss in Boots is trying to charm the ladies, which they think is just funny. They obviously aren't actually attracted to him. He's a cat, but Sky finds it pretty funny and thinks he's a cute cat, like cute as in like how I think my cat's cute. And then as for Jin Woo, remember, was brought in right after getting kind of killed and then put into his life being an RPG. So he's trying to still figure that all out because he's got all the RPG stuff in his mind. He's trying to figure all that out, and Bruce is immediately, I'm going to be calling Batman Bruce just like I called Spider-Man Peter. Bruce is immediately a little suspicious about him. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the pre-challenge section, so we can get into our challenge section for today. And our challenge section is going to be a pretty simple one. This is Challenge 25. I'm not resetting the counter. Challenge 25. Welcome to the Wipeout. So this one has just a few rules. It's a 3-stage obstacle course designed to wear the teams down. The strength portion is to drag a sled loaded with rocks across the beach, which is really big because this island is a lot bigger. This new island. There's 3 peaks. There's a lot more stuff. So they have to do it around the whole beach. And then once they get back to the area, they can move into the second part, which is endurance, where every single team member has to crawl under 10 feet of barbed nets through mud, and they have to get there. Hey, so my dumbass completely forgot about the third part of the challenge. So it was originally going to be a brain part, but I made the rest of the episode and I just forgot to talk about it. So we're just not gonna have a third part. It won't be on the little slideshow you're seeing, but I did say 3-stage. So yeah, ignore that. All right, back to your regularly scheduled programming. So that's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple challenge, but it's called Welcome to the Wipeout. It's supposed to be, I think the name of the video is even Baby's First Beatdown. So yeah, it's supposed to be just an introductory challenge, just like the first one of last season was. So let's start with our strength area. Let's analyze these teams a little bit and their stats. That's kind of why I wanted to do this kind of thing. So strength wise, right now, by the way, when I say a sled full of rocks, I mean full of rocks. And it's a massive, comically large sled. That's why they need 7 people to pull it. But we'll just go by character. Jin Woo is incredibly weak. Basically a Zuko at the beginning of his season. Weak, if not weaker. So, yeah, he's not much of a help. Bruce is obviously a huge help. It feels weird to call him Bruce, but I'll get used to it. Bruce is a huge help. He's probably the strongest person on his team when it comes to just physical strength. Definitely not the strongest, but yeah, when it comes to physical strength. Daisy is trying to compete with Guinevere, who's just trying to be nice and be inconspicuous and, oh yeah, nothing's wrong with me at all. Obviously, y'all would know that's not true if y'all watched the last episode. Sky is pretty strong for a girl her age. And that's not really due to her 0-point powers. They don't really help with this, but yeah, she's doing pretty good for herself. And then Puss is just not really helping at all. And Ash is trying as hard as he can, but he's just an average dude. But yeah, overall they're not doing too great, to be honest. But Bruce being their only huge help at this point. On the Misfit Monkeys, however, Alice is pretty strong. The ink with her is she's pretty strong. Mel is about average. Jack is literally just a normal dude. 2D's pretty weak. Obviously 6 is useless. Captain Underpants would be really good for this, but what happened is Captain Underpants got splashed with water since they're right next to the beach. Water touched him, and because of that, he's just Mr. Krupp, so he's confused and doesn't know what's going on, so nobody's paying attention to him because they all got their own problems. But he's not really helping that much. And then Goofy is Goofy, so he's not really helping that much. So the Misfit Monkeys are still kind of, like I said, dysfunctional. But the Chaotic Coyotes, and this might be a little bit of a trend for the season, are kind of OP. Let's just go off strength. So Lauren, we'll talk about the strong characters first. So Lauren, obviously ridiculously strong. If you saw what she did to the bear in one of the real reboot seasons, she's ridiculously strong. Ezekiel is about average. Obviously, he doesn't have access to feral stuff or any of that, but he's pretty average. Well, maybe they aren't as OP. Oh wait, yes they are, because Steve is ridiculous. So I think what happens at first is everyone's pulling it. You got Ezekiel's average, Patrice is average, Samus and Lauren are the MVPs, Della's average, Tristan's incredibly weak, because that's Tristan's whole thing, or one of Tristan's things, not Tristan's whole thing. That's the wanting people to chill. But Steve comes up to it, picks it up with one hand, and puts it in his inventory, and then they just keep walking. Yeah, Steve's kind of broken, y'all. He can hold, what is it, like 32 stacks of 64 full diamond blocks or something like that. So he's kind of busted. So the Chaotic Coyotes get to the second part really quickly. And I actually think that they might even get close to the third part before the other two even get there. So Samus takes off her suit, and this is probably will lead to some pretty funny jokes. I think that Samus, everyone thinks Samus is a man because obviously, I mean, just look at the suit. No one would think that's a woman without really taking a look. So everyone thinks Samus is a man, but they get to this part, and she takes her suit off so that she can go under the thing because her suit's too big to fit under the thing, and everyone's like, "Oh!" And Ezekiel's nose starts bleeding, and Patrice punches him in the arm, because Patrice is kind of like a tomboy right now. So yeah, there's Samus. Outside of that, let's talk about Wild Wasp and Misfit Monkeys. They both are kind of being terrible right now, but I think the Wild Wasps would slightly pull ahead just because Bruce is more powerful than Alice is. So, or stronger at least. So I think the Wild Wasps get here around the time that the Chaotic Coyotes are already getting some of their people through. I think the first people to get through are Zeke and Patrice, because they both would not care at all. I think Lauren at first would not want to get it on her stuff, but I think that Tristan and Della, like on her makeup and stuff, but I think Tristan and Della would be able to convince her. Speaking of, I think Tristan would probably be able to go through without freaking out, but yeah, no, I think Tristan is just kind of weak, so Tris would take quite a bit. But Della, I think, gets through relatively quickly. Obviously, I think Samus gets through like immediately, and Steve, it'd be kind of hard for him to maneuver like a block, but yeah, pretty much by the time, I'd say Della is about to finish by the time the Wild Wasps and later the Misfit Monkeys even arrive. So when the Wild Wasps arrive, though, I think everyone here wins pretty quickly, except for, so I think you win quickly, you win quickly, you win quickly, you win quickly, you win quickly. But I think with Daisy, she probably sabotages Guinevere, kicks mud in her face or something, without anybody noticing except Guinevere. And because she wants them to lose so they can vote Guinevere out. She just has a hate for Guinevere right now. It's kind of like a Sugar Ella thing, except Daisy and Guinevere are actually good characters and not annoying. Ella's not that bad. But Jane Wu is super weak, and Guinevere, y'all seen how she actually looks. So it hits that because it's just an illusion disc right now. And she starts lagging and glitching out. But Daisy makes it through, and then at this point, I think Della's made it through as well. So let's quickly talk about the Misfit Monkeys, and then we'll talk about all the people that are really selling. I think in the Misfit Monkeys, Alice and Mel and Jack and Sudi all make it through pretty quickly, but these three don't. Remember, Captain Underpants is still Mr. Krupp right now, and him putting his face in mud isn't gonna really help. Goofy is just retarded, and Six, while she doesn't care about the mud, she's just walking across, but she keeps getting stuck. So yeah, she can just walk under it though. So she's trying to play hopscotch on the harder bits. So it's taking her a bit. So everyone that's still in here is Tristan, Jinwoo, Six, Guinevere, Captain Underpants / Mr. Krupp, and Goofy. So I think out of them, the first one to finish is probably Six. And then out of these four, probably Mr. Krupp's kind of fat. But I still think out of these ones, Mr. Krupp just barely beats Tristan, and then Tristan gets it. So now it's Jinwoo, Guinevere, and Goofy. And I think Jinwoo probably makes it through at this point, and they look around and they just see Guinevere just glitching out and lagging in the mud. She's like halfway through. and Bruce decides to go back in and goes and grabs Guinevere and starts dragging her through. So, yeah, and then at this point, Goofy is stupid, but he's at least making it through the mud at this point. So it gets kind of close at the end, but I do genuinely believe that the person to cross through and the team to lose the first challenge is Guinevere wins, sending the Misfit Monkeys to elimination. Yeah, I think that one thing, well, we can talk about our post challenge. Oh my gosh, you know what I completely forgot to add? I completely forgot to add this thing, the elimination ceremony. Hold on, elimination ceremony. I did not smell. Oh my gosh, I'm retarded. I spelled both of them wrong. There we go. Okay, but we can talk about our post-challenge section. First, I want to put everyone back how I had them, because that's just how my brain works better that way. So we can do this, and then we can do, I think, yeah, none of these guys ever changed. But let's talk about, let's move these guys down here. Let's talk about the wild wasps. So I think what the first thing that happens is Bruce shifts his focus from Jinwoo, who he's just ruled out as kind of being a loner, at least at this point. And so I'm gonna put Jinwoo over here and puts his focus on Guinevere. Yeah, I think that fits better. So with Guinevere, he obviously saw, along with everybody, no one could really tell what was going on, but he went up there and he saw Guinevere was glitching. So he's like, okay, I gotta study what this is, because he assumes, obviously, Guinevere's a robot, but he obviously wants to know more. So he decides to, he's the only one who realized what Daisy, because Daisy thought no one saw, but he's the only one who realized what Daisy was doing. So he decides that he will give Guinevere, he will protect Guinevere from Daisy in exchange for her giving him information about what's wrong with her. And Guinevere does end up agreeing to this before removing the illusion disc, and Bruce is like, oh, that's wild. Nobody else sees this. They're alone. At least not yet. Nobody sees it. So, yeah, that's kind of become an alliance. Another thing I think happens on this team, though, is Ash and Jinwoo probably are both like not really interacting with any of these five, so they probably just start talking to each other, and they're not like the closest of friends. They don't have too much in common at this point, but they're just chilling. I think they at least decide to make a little not even an alliance, but just a pact to not vote each other out. So they are just talking about like goals and stuff. Over on the Misfit Monkeys, though, morale is a lot lower because these guys have to go to elimination later. Now, here's who I think everyone is thinking wants to be out. The only two that I think don't want to vote out Goofy for making them lose the challenge and overall just being super annoying are Goofy himself, who wants to vote out Alice for being scary, because Alice is really aggressive. It probably crashed out at him and a few others during the whole thing, and yeah, she's really aggressive, so Goofy is scared of Alice, so he wants her out. And Jack is really sick of Tootie, who is indirectly bragging. Tootie thinks him and Jack are friends, and he's indirectly bragging about his band, while Jack is self-conscious about his band. So when we come to elimination, in our first round, I think Alice, Mel, 2D, yes, I'm calling 2D instead of Stuart, but only because Stuart is such a dumb name, and also 2D just fits him better. Everyone else, like, I'm even calling Batman Bruce, but I'm calling 2D. I don't care. But 2D, 6, and this is Mr. Krupp right now. Nobody snapped their fingers yet. Goofy, I'll vote Goofy. I can't talk. And then Goofy votes Alice, and Jack votes 2D, sending Goofy home as our first eliminated contestant. I think that was kind of obvious. Goofy is only here as Like, I needed a Mickey Mouse character to show up at some point, but none of the girls I can really do anything with or ever cared about. Pluto was my favorite, and I didn't really know what to do with him. And I'm not really using Goofy from a Goofy movie. I would have used his son if I was doing that. I also needed some, and there's a few you'll see. You can probably kind of tell here that I need some good early boots. But I think Goofy is one that can fit that while also probably cracking a few funny jokes and still being well liked by people watching the show if this were like an actual animated show. But I do think that Goofy's like, really? How could y'all do this to me? Not like crashing out, but he's just like confused. He's like, I thought I was doing so good. And Chris ends up snapping at him to make him hurry up. He's like, come on, we ain't got all day. And he's snapping. And that wakes up Captain Underpants, and he goes tra-la-la, and everyone is weirded out by him. So, yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of Total Drama Multiverse Season 2, Episode 2. I'm probably just going to say the episode from now on because that takes forever to say, and I'm lazy. But I hope y'all enjoyed, and again, just a quick reminder, be rooting for one male, one female, or one Tristan that you want to win the season, as well as telling me any challenge ideas you might have, because I would love to hear them and I would love to use them. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Oh, that's not what I meant to do at all. I'm trying to move these guys down so I can set it up for the episode on Monday. There we go. I do have one more thing I gotta say. I've been doing outro. I completely forgot to say this. So, Goofy is asked by Chris if he wants to go home to his reality or stay on the island for a chance to return in a later episode. And Goofy says, I'm good. Goofy does not want to try to compete in a new challenge later down the line. That won't be for a very long time, but every time someone's eliminated, they will be asked if they want to stay for a chance to return later. But that's not happening with Goofy. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I cannot wait to catch on the next one of Total Drama Multiverse Season 2. Bye, guys.